The Christmas season creates fond memories for many Americans. Family get-togethers, good food, favorite presents, special Christmas decorations. Perhaps one particular ornament that adorned the tree every year, such as the plaky Twinkler. This is the story of how this iconic heat motion ornament came to life through the inspiration and invention of its creator, John Garver. Farmer, husband, father, teacher, inventor. John Garver wore many hats and made many discoveries during his 83 years. Born and raised near Youngstown, Ohio, John went to Boardman schools and majored in science at North Manchester College, where he met his lovely wife, Joanne. In 1952, John began a 30-year teaching career at Boardman High School. He and Joanne had 5 children. John credits his early farming experience as his source of creative inventiveness.
On the farm, you have to repair your own machinery. And the machines they sell you don't always work in Ohio the same as Iowa. So we had to modify our machines. So as a kid, I'm watching my dad weld and my uncle and fixing machines. And by the time I was 6, I knew how to weld.
John also credits his father for his hands-on ingenuity.
I remember when I was 6, I wanted a train at Christmas time. My dad said, "Nope, you can't have a train." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because if you have a train and it wind it up and it goes around that track, you just watch it. If you want a train, you make it." And so he made it possible for me to make a train by buying me every Christmas for the next 6-7 years an erector set.
This hands-on ingenuity led to the application of 8 different patents, which are only a small representation of the many inventions John pioneered. But by far, John's most recognizable invention is the heat motion Twinkler Christmas ornament. So what really sparked John's genius and set the ball rolling in the invention of the famous Twinkler? Inspiration blossomed when John realized that a spinner could be put on a radiometer bearing.
I've had a fun life making discoveries. And one of the discoveries that you can see here is connected with the Twinkler. That little one on top of the tree on a pin, on a piece of wire, has a glass bearing.
For the first few thousand Twinklers, the bearing was made at home.
When you're inventing, the first invention normally is somewhat of a failure, just enough to keep you going. And then later you fix it.
John's first prototype was the needle ornament on a Christmas tree.
I had a box with that spinner, and it's just a piece of wire I took out of a wire tie. I put them in a box, and they didn't sell in the hardware store, so I thought that's a lousy idea. I gave half a dozen to my friend. Next Christmas I go to his house, he's got them running on his tree. And I thought, if he's willing to wire those up, is attracted enough to it to do that, it must have some merit.
John's inventive nature found inspiration in everything.
My sister, who's 2 years younger than I am, for Christmas she gave me a bow tie. It was in a clear plastic sleeve. That's how it was packaged. And I said, "How dumb can you be? All I need to do is put the Twinkler in the sleeve, protect it from the angel hair, and hang it. It'll stay vertical, and we can make them go." Yeah, this is the original prototype that we sold 1,000 of in one day down at Strauss's.
John made the molds by hand at home and melted the plastics in his oven. He then handed over the injection molds to Plaky.
But at their factory, their machine heats it up and has it ready. And it just closes on it and squirts it in, and then they have a way to cool it, and they can make them fast.
Proud of his invention and the inspiration that caused it, John brought the prototype to school and showed it to his class.
John would occasionally bring items into class and talk about them, and he brought this new idea and explained to the class what it was and how it would really look beautiful on a Christmas tree. And it was going to be made of plastic, and it had a spinner, and it reflected light, and heat from a Christmas bulb would turn that spinner, and the whole tree would dance with light.
In that class was Dean Hoover, son of Frank Hoover, who just happened to be the founder of the Plaky Toy Company. After seeing John's prototype, Dean told John his dad's company could probably manufacture it.
I said to John after class, I said, I think my dad could make that for you, because my dad was in the business of manufacturing baby products.
Just as famous as John Garver's Twinkler ornament is the Plaky Company. So what's the history of this unique company, and how did they end up partnering with John in the creation of the Twinkler?
We were a pretty seasonal business. Babies are born all the time, but their products are not bought for them in the same same months as what they're born. Come the first of the year, there was a lull. Trying to balance this out was always a problem. And one of the things that helped us to balance a little bit was John Garver bringing his Twinkler to us.
Plaky was a locally based toy and nursery product manufacturer founded by Frank M. Hoover. In 1935, the same year Hoover's son Dean was born, Hoover began producing baby toys. Hoover's first product was a string of molded plastic discs on a silver chain, inspired by Dean's fascination with the multicolored plastic samples Hoover used to demonstrate available colors of gear shift knobs to clients. By the 1940s, the company had expanded in both products and personnel. Though Plaky's headquarters remained local throughout most of the company's history, its products were marketed all over the United States. By the 1990s, rising production costs and increased market competition forced Plaky's dissolution. Yet Plaky toys continue to evoke fond memories of childhood amusement. Despite the massive success of the Twinkler and its local popularity, it had one problem: a defective pin.
So they blew it by not manufacturing right.
The Garvers even had plans for additional shapes that never came to be. Inspired by cookie cutter shapes, John's wife Joanne cut out a number of prototypes with a scroll saw.
So I got my cookie cutters out and started tracing and drawing, and I had to redo this one because it was really a skinny pattern, so I enlarged it. And this was just a normal cookie cutter.
Fortunately, John's enthusiasm and passion for keeping the Twinkler in the marketplace has never dimmed. Today, he is on the hunt for a new manufacturer for his current Twinkler design. As popular as they were when John Garver first made them years ago, Twinklers are even more in demand today. Arguably one of the most popular items in the vintage marketplace among Christmas collectors, Twinklers fetch a much higher price than their original 29-cent price tag. Whether you collect Twinklers or simply cherish one from your childhood that belonged to your parents or grandparents, we have John Garver to thank for the creation of the Twinkler, his legacy.